I know you gonna dig this.
I'm outside in an AMG, right outside, TT.
Twin Talk Podcast.
Hello. Are we recording? The levels are moving? Yes, they are. Hello, hi. Let me shut the door. Get out of here, fly. Shoo, fly. If the fly's still in here, I might have to stop recording and get rid of it. Yep, it's here. All right, 1 second. Oh my God. So I've got a sliding glass door that leads to the backyard, and we have a lot of chickens out back, so there's a lot of poop, and then the dog poop. And so a lot of flies get attracted because it's the summer days, and so they come. If I leave the door open for too long, I get like 3 to 5 flies in here that just will not leave. And usually it takes me a lot long. Like my glasses prescription is a little bit off. So, you get 10 feet away from me and there's a little blur. And then if something's moving like a fucking fly, I'm basically blind. And I'm so fucking surprised that I was able to hit every single one. I just bop, killed like 5 flies almost in a row. Oh, there's still one. All right, I'm not even going to pause the audio. Or I'm not even going to pause the recording. I'm just going to see if real quick I can knock this boy out of the air. I've already lost track of him. Never mind. I'm not trying to talk for that long. So I'm just going to... This fly can live for right now. I need to get a couple thoughts off my chest, and then I need to move on. Really fucking excited because my show finally came out. And let me give this website out for anybody that doesn't want to pay for streaming services like Netflix or Disney Plus or Peacock or Hulu or all that dumb shit. I'm 31. I'm 32. Jesus. I thought my birthday today, I was 32, February 25th, and I actually thought that I was 33 years old. And when I said it to Adon, he just looked at me like I'm retarded, just like, how do you... The only people that shouldn't be able to keep track of their birthdays are people who were born homeless and their parents didn't keep track of anything, and now they're living life with no birth certificate and no understanding of when they were actually born. I should know. It's not hard. And I just completely forgot. And then I started thinking about do I even know my mom's birthday? I do. What I meant to say was, do I know how old she is? And I keep sitting here bro, I'm not sure how old my mom is. And I didn't want to ask her because she forgot how old I was turning, and that made me feel kind of comfortable not remembering, but I didn't want to tell her that I didn't remember. And so I was I've been secretly trying to look at her ID or something and be what was her birth date? And then I'll just do the math. I'm pretty sure she was born in 56, but that sounds too long ago, because if that's true, then she's God, here's how bad I am at math. I don't know, it's 60 something. She's in her mid 60s. I thought my mom was 63, but if she's born in 56, she has to be 67 or 60. I don't know. We'll find out. This is pointless. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. Anyways, I wanna talk for a minute because I want to talk about what this podcast is and what to expect. Expect nothing. Don't ever listen to this and expect that it's going to be like any other show that you watch on YouTube, or that I'll be out here clickbaiting and going, content, I'm on the content grind. And no. This podcast is not for you. It's not for you in any way, shape, or form. I'll be really happy if people want to listen to things that get talked about, but again, it is not for you in any way. My point with this podcast is I love to express. I was sitting down with Adon for an hour the other night, and one thing that out of many topics, one thing we got into was how we don't feel like artists in the same way that other people feel like artists. And that's not, I don't feel special. This isn't to big up myself or anything, but it's just when I hear, growing up, there was always an idea of what I was told an artist is, and what I thought an artist was. I thought an artist was somebody who's ooh, I have pain, and I'm dealing, and the only way that I can express myself is if I draw and paint. The world doesn't understand me. And the older I get, the more I look at an artist like that and I go, you are self-indulging to a gross degree. You are so hyper. Ooh, that fly. Ooh, that fly. Ah! Come on. Ugh. I just did like 10 swipes in the air, and as I'm swiping, I'm watching the fly jump over the fly swatter, swim around the fly swatter in the air, and I just feel like a bitch, man. I cannot hit this last fly. It's making me sweat. God damn. So there's what I've always thought an artist was, and I thought it was this weird little like person who's like, oh, I can't relate to the world, and so I have to do it with my art, and like that shit is so stupid to me. I feel like me and Adon were so lucky to be born at a time and place with a mom she grew up in Philly, and she got to see that everybody around her was essentially the same. They all... Ooh, got the fly. Let's go, baby! Let's go! Alright, fly's dead. She got to see... There's another fly? It feels like all the flies are like sitting somewhere, like having a beer, and they all go like, your turn, Jerry, your turn. And Jerry the fly flies off and tries to annoy me. And if I kill him, the rest of them are like, ah, damn. All right, Luis, your turn. And they're just making fun of me. I hate these fucking flies, man. I need to put up the screen door got broken, and I'm going to try and fix that right after I do this recording, because I want the door open, but, no flies. So let's use the technology that we were given. So I don't like artists that are so self-indulgent in their bullshit emotions. Because the way that I look at an artist is that none of us are really different. Like I was saying with my mom, she looked around her when she was growing up and when she got older, and she realized, like, everyone's the same in Philly, and they're all kind of, like, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but the way that I understood what she was saying was, like, all these motherfuckers are, like, kind of dumb. They all are just, like, religious, kind of not uncritical with what they think and what they want to do. And she wanted something different. She wanted to see more. And so she moved to she moved to Arizona, to give me and my brother a different kind of experience. She didn't really want to see fast food at all. We grew up not really doing the normal things that a lot of kids did. I didn't know that there was rap and hip hop and all this culture, like not just black culture, but just anything. I didn't even know there was a country. I didn't know what was out there. I was sheltered. I was slightly sheltered because we lived on a farm boarding school sort of place in Arizona, and then we lived on another farm boarding school type of place in California, and they were all away from cities. We had gone to visit our relatives in Philadelphia and places a couple times, so like I knew that cities are a thing. But what I knew and what I was used to was running around outdoors, the woods. If I saw like the main cultural things that would grip any kid at my age around like from like 0 to 10, I was watching a little bit of that on TV. We had cable, so we'd like I was really into Dragon Ball Z. Some of my core memories are sitting up, like trying to stay up until 9 o'clock. That was late. I remember feeling like 9 o'clock was late as shit, and I would try to stay up to watch Toonami because Dragon Ball Z was amazing, and it was basically the shit I really cared about. And so we got to grow up different. Like a lot of kids. There's a lot of people say things like, black people have to like be cognizant of the police, and like from a young age you're black and things are different for you, and people treat you different. And I didn't have to think of any of that until 10 years old, when we moved to Berkeley, and I'm finally in a city. I'm finally around tons of other black kids, and you would think that by the time I get to a city where there's tons of different types of people and I have to deal with the different dynamics going on in that, you'd think that I'd say, oh man, I started to see how white people can be so racist. And it's just not my reality. When I first got to the city and I got to see how things are, the dynamics between people, the problems that I came in contact with was black people. And I have that classic, like, I'm left wing, I'm progressive, I'm all these things, but I do like feel a kinship with the weird ass what's it called, porch nigga ass, like, conservative black people who will be like, really, the real racism is from my own race. And I think those guys are ridiculous, but I can agree with them on that one point, is that I felt the most racism from my own race, and it made me very uncomfortable. No white person ever went, you're not black enough to hang out with me. But I have had black friends literally tell me I'm not black enough. I, all through school, would get made fun of for talking too proper or for not knowing different hip-hop shit. And every white kid was just treated me like a person. No one ever expected me to be a certain type of black or be whiter or be more Mexican or be more Asian. The only people who gave me any racial problems were black people at that time. Later on in my life, at this point, I've had a ton of racist ass experiences with white people that have made me uncomfortable, you know? One time we were in Boston, going to college, we went to a party at night, and we hung out with this dude all night. Me and Don, our friend Mike, who came to visit us, and we just had fun. And then we left the party, it's like 12:30, maybe 1 in the morning, and we hear somebody call our names. We turn around. It's the guy we had been hanging out with all night, and he's on the balcony, looking down at us walking away from the house. And he's saying, see you later, niggas! Bye, niggas! And we just go, we all had that, like, snap realization of, like, we just sat in this guy's company and laughed together all night, and he was really just probably, like, really racist and, like, poking fun at us the whole time, and we were all so kind-hearted that none of us realized that he's a piece of shit. And we looked at each other like, do we just go back and beat the shit out of this guy, or, like, do we move on? Like, this is so jarring right now. We decided to move on because it's, you know, what, we bust into the house to beat his ass. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's like, you know, be grown. If he wants to be a piece of shit, let him be a piece of shit. We'll move on. We did our cursing and then walked away. So all of this to say, like, oh, Jesus. Hey, here's how you know this podcast isn't for you. I'm going to be going on tons of tangents. And it's really not even to explain anything to you. It's because it makes me feel good to express. That's the point of everything I'm getting to, is me and Don have had a very different upbringing as artists. And I don't feel like I'm making art because there's something that I can't express. I've spent my whole life loving talking to people. If I had to make a distinction about, like, what mode of expression makes me feel the most comfortable, it's literally just talking. I could talk for hours. I could talk about anything. I could sit with somebody and not even talk about anything that I need to talk about. I have fun just asking people questions. There's a podcast that I really want to do someday where I sit people down and I just ask why. And I don't literally just say the word why, but, like, when somebody tells me something, I don't respond with things I want to say. I want to have a podcast where we keep digging into people's thinking. When I was in 4th grade, there was a teacher that taught my class about metacognitive thinking. And he said that's basically thinking about your own thinking. And that just got me, I don't know who I'd be if nobody ever talked to me about that kind of a concept. Because from that day on, I just would, every time I would do anything, I would go, why am I doing this? I would think something, I would go, why am I thinking this? And it's the last, like, 20 years of my life it's been so fun to look at why I'm doing something and unravel it and try to find out, where does all this come from? Why do you like these things? Why? Being my own therapist. A lot of people don't feel like digging deep into those kind of thoughts because it's uncomfortable for some reason. I think the reason that it's uncomfortable for people is because or the reasons people might not want to delve into certain thinking is because they think that their thoughts are them. I don't think you are your thoughts. I think you're your actions. So if I had to, like, take stock of my actions, I think I'm a pretty shitty guy that's been fucking up for a lot of his life. But the things that I think are just products of living life. If you have murderous fantasies, you're not a horrible person. You just have murderous thoughts. And you should explore those. And I think that not exploring the gross, dangerous, frustrating, nerve-wracking things that come up in your mind without you pulling them up, like the things that you just end up thinking about randomly, if you don't explore those, I think they manifest into something bad. And that's why I really love constantly expressing, constantly exploring my mind, and just sitting in it, because I feel disconnected from it. I didn't choose to be here. I didn't choose how I was raised. I didn't choose the foods that I got to start eating in the beginning of my life. Like, there's so much of your life isn't up to you. And to look at yourself as someone who, like, oh, I shouldn't say this or think this or do this because what does it say about me? Who knows what it says about you? Find out. Let's find out. Not everyone can just be perfect. If everyone's going to be this perfect little... If everyone's just going to be this perfect little whatever, then life wouldn't be the beautiful thing that it is. We need the fuck-ups, and we need the people that want to go too far, and we need the people who choose to never go far. We need the people who want to stay in their little nest and be comfortable and never explore their mind. We need... Everything is necessary to have this beautiful reality that we have. And I think that because we all live life alone, a concept I'm becoming familiar with since me and my brother did a little bit of a split, because people are so alone, they're just unsure. You don't know the things that anyone... You don't know the things that you don't know. You don't know the things that are never expressed to you. And I can sit here having this, like, long knowledge of movie tropes and life tropes and storybook tropes and see how they map on and relate to life, and use that to feel comfortable exploring and expressing myself. But all of that is a function of having a twin for most of my life. I've never really felt alone. And I feel like when you don't feel alone, it's much easier to figure yourself out. When you have somebody to bounce things off of, when you have somebody to, like... Another human with you is like having a mirror in front of you. And you really need that mirror to be able to see yourself clearly. I'm not going to know... Like, for a while in my life, from like 25 until 30, I was... Well, earlier than that, but it really was the biggest, the most, what's it called? The most important period of time I'm trying to get is like 25 to 30. It took me a long time to realize how abrasive I was in conversations. I was very direct in a way that made people uncomfortable. And it took me, and I would look at a lot of that and go like, yeah, if you're uncomfortable, let's just deal with it. Like, isn't that fun? Isn't it fun to, like, realize you're uncomfortable and then, like, figure out how to deal with it? It's like, no, Ian, it's not. Re-fucking-lax. Everyone is dealing with life differently. This little meme I shared the other day, I can't remember who it was of. I think it was a Adventure Time meme, but a character was saying, everyone is built different. It's not our job to figure it out. You just have to respect it. And those are the type of feelings that I was, like, learning to balance from, like, 25 to 30. Was just going, hey, man, not everybody wants to delve into their mind and like, dip into it. I had a friend who said to me, Ian, the way that you want people to delve into their own thinking and, like, open up their heart and just let things bleed out, for most people, that's like a shroom trip. And if you've ever done shrooms, you know when you're about to do shrooms, there's a thought that most people have. Doing shrooms is like giving up control. If you do shrooms, you know you're getting on a ride that's going to be 5 to 6 hours. You're going to probably cry. You're going to be the happiest you've ever had. You're going to have some paranoid thoughts. And a lot of people just need to go, and like prepare themselves to be emotional for the next 6 hours. I'm just fine with that feeling. I relish that feeling sometimes. But when it comes to shrooms, I do stop and go, ugh, there's no getting off this ride once I get on. And so my friend was trying to say, like, that's how people feel when you try to push them into thinking about their own thinking. A lot of people are not that comfortable. And it doesn't mean that I'm some sort of like well-adjusted, amazing like being that like everybody can learn from. No, I just relate to emotions in the way that I relate to them. And I have areas I don't want to go down. I have things I don't want to talk about. I have things I don't want to think about. But my list may be shorter than other people's. But I need to respect that some people don't want to figure themselves out. I missed the fly again. Some people don't want to figure themselves out, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting to just be who you are without finding the secondary and is it tertiary? Secondary and tertiary meaning behind everything. So, all of this to say, this podcast is just for me to express. The point of this, like I've said for years, if you've listened to... I've never done a podcast consistently, but I've always done a podcast ever since I was 21. The first one was in Boston. It was me, Adon, and our other black friend, Lewis Morris. He's an amazing guy. He makes incredible beats, and I'm hoping that I can ask him... I'm hoping that he'll let me use his beats in this podcast and to have him on soon, maybe through Zoom, or hopefully I'll get back to Boston and we can actually kick it. But what we had in Boston, the podcast was called B&B, like bed and breakfast, except for it was called Black in Boston. And what we would do was we would mostly talk about movies because we all love movies so much. But it would always eventually go from movies to just talking about life. And we recorded maybe 6 episodes. I never put them out, and we just had fun talking. And then after that, I forgot the name of the next podcast I did. But then, after that podcast, around 25, I think, me and Adon started a podcast called Twin Talk. And it would just be... The idea was just to have us just talk. A lot of people would tell us that they would see me and Adon running around, doing our art, painting things, and we looked like we were like living in our own little world. And so Twin Talk was like us just having honest conversations and allowing people to come in. And I've liked the name Twin Talk, and I never want to let it go. I did my due diligence. I know that we were the first people online to use the name Twin Talk. And in the last 5 years, I've seen these two twins start a podcast, and they called it Twin Talk. It's these two boring white ladies, and they get like 1,000 views every time they post something. And so it's making me go like, fuck these bitches. They're making my idea popular. I have to go and use my idea. Fuck them. And so there is a little piece of me that wants to make sure that we're the Twin Talk that's like the most prominent. But then really, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this to like make clickbait videos and like get attention. I just love to talk. That's why for years I've always done a podcast and never put it out, because it's not about putting it out so that other people can listen to it. It's about, I love having conversations, and I will always have conversations. And I think that there's a beauty to recording it and being honest. This fly is killing me, man. Now it's like taunting me. It's like buzzing around my head. I think there's a beauty to recording a conversation. When you record a conversation, I love turning a recording on and watching somebody they put on their mask. Like they don't want to... Oh, shit. Wait. Just land for a second. Just land somewhere. I'll get this fly eventually. Damn, 23 minutes. I was trying to talk for 10 minutes, and here we are. Okay, so there's a beauty when you start to record people in a podcast. You can see them put on their mask, and they try to like sit up straight and like present a certain facade. And if you just keep recording for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, people will have their mask, but they can't hold it the whole time. And I love watching that mask slowly slide until you have a person just being honest. It feels like it gives me the same. It gives me this not the same physical feeling, but it gives me the same like emotional feeling that like really good sex gives me, where you just like really good sex when you could like stare in somebody's eyes and you just feel completely comfortable and vulnerable and everything is okay. It's such a fucking refreshing, validating feeling. And being in a conversation where even if you disagree with the other person, the conversation is still flowing and you both understand each other. Oh, best feeling in the world. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. And I feel like people don't get that a lot. When I have conversations with people, I will ask them a lot of clarifying questions. I'll get deep into what they care about. And it's like on a date. Like, any guy knows this. If you want to get a girl to really, like, open up to you, ask her a lot of questions. Ask her a lot of questions about what she cares about. You'll watch this girl, like, light up and start talking and be really open. And a lot of people get too narcissistic about their own bullshit. Get narcissistic about other people's shit. Be super into what other people are doing, and you watch them light up because we're all alone. And when you feel like somebody cares about what you're saying, it kind of feels like that's the purpose of life, to care about each other, to be nice to each other, to be there for each other. And a conversation is such a beautiful and easy way to do it. There are conversations I've had over my life where 5 years later I'm still thinking about. I may forget what we talked about, but I remember that feeling you gave me because you gave a fuck about my shit, or I saw your eyes light up because I gave a fuck about your shit. And that's what this podcast is for people to just connect, for me to connect with people and just enjoy that moment. And it's recorded so that, you know, every 5 years I feel like I'm a different person. I feel like the overall like pathology of who I am is generally the same, but I feel myself changing and growing every 5 years. And I cannot wait to be 80 years old, if I'm lucky enough to get there. I can't wait to be old and look back and just explore my mind from when I was 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. That looks like the most fun to me. I watched my grandma and my grandpa both like pass away in hospital beds. And I didn't see my grandpa die. I know he died in a hospital bed happy though. Or maybe he wasn't happy. I know that he like slipped away comfortably in a hospital bed. My grandma looked so happy as she was slipping away. And I was having all these thoughts about like what it's like to die and have all your life behind you. And I thought, if I'm ever lucky enough to be about to pass away in a hospital bed, I would love to spend the couple weeks or couple days beforehand just listening to these type of recordings. And just have flashbacks and just like sit there and cry about how beautiful life was and how amazing the journey was. The podcast is about how life is a journey, not a destination. And when the journey's over, I want to be able to relive parts of it. And that's kind of it. So, this podcast, I said, I said it comes out every Wednesday. And somebody saw my post on Instagram and they were like, I'm really excited for this. And somebody else was like, they're back. Are y'all back at it? And then that person replied to that comment and was like, man, I'm going to listen to it tonight. Did you listen to it yet? And maybe I'm putting on too much excitement. Maybe I'm putting excitement onto their text that wasn't there. But, man, it made me nervous. It made me go, oh, shit. I don't want people to have any expectations at all. A lot of what this podcast will be as an excuse to start a conversation. The podcast will start with me talking about an art piece that I made, and I'll explain what I was thinking when I started. I'll explain why it was made. I'll explain how certain colors and ideas and themes make me feel. But the podcast is then meant to like divert into other shit. Just like how Black in Boston podcast would start with movie reviews and then we would start talking about life and other things. So, yeah, man. And last thing, swear to God, this is the last thing. I put the cover out for the new podcast, and the cover is, so there have been 3 different covers for this podcast. The first cover was me and Adon, represented as 2 little tiny twins, like reaching out and touching hands. or no, I think the first podcast was like, the first podcast cover might have been a Pisces, because we're born in February, we're both Pisces. I hate astrology, but I love the meaning that can be taken from the Pisces, the two twin fish swimming. And then the next podcast cover was two twins looking like little toddlers, like about to grab each other's hands, kind of like swimming in this like ethereal zone. The next podcast cover was our two twin characters, but now they're different colors. Adon's favorite color is blue. My favorite color is orange. Those happen to be colors that are complementary colors. Is it blue and orange? Yeah, it's blue and orange, and they bounce off of each other. And so that feels like conceptually that's a perfect that's a perfect concept for the dynamic that plays out in our lives. We're complementary colors. So, like, the colors work well together or have an interesting bounce off of each other effect, but they're also bouncing off each other literally, like butting heads. And so it was a picture of both of our characters standing back to back. My character had dreadlocks. Adon had a shaved head with blonde dyed hair, because that's what our hairstyles are. And they were both holding swords, and they both had cuts all over their bodies. So the idea was these two little characters that were like swimming in one space together, touching hands, are now back to back with cuts on each other's backs, because we're getting into more aggressive, more like hard to decipher and traverse terrain of our relationship, and things are more contentious now. And so the new podcast cover that I just made is my one character, dreads cut off because I recently cut my dreads off, sitting in a crouched position with the blue hand of Adon's character in the background, severed and being stabbed through like the palm, and with blood coming out of it. And so the idea is, I decided on that cover because me and Adon had gotten to a place where we could barely even talk to each other. For the last like 4 or 5 months, we've almost never seen each other. We almost don't talk at all. And for me, it's like I'm alone now, and I don't even know if I want the idea of my brother. I don't even know if I need this. I don't even know if it's, I don't know. I had to cut off what I was with and move on. And that's why the hand is in the background. It could also be interpreted as, like an animal gets trapped in a trap, and it'll fucking chew its own arm off to get away. I also thought that there's a second meaning where it's like, maybe I didn't cut Adon's hand off. Maybe he cut his own hand off to get away. And my character is supposed to be looking out forward with a determined look, as if like, whether he's here or not, whether it was me that cut him up or whether he cut himself free, I can't worry about that anymore. I need to look forward with resolve and intent and do my own thing. And my brother saw the image, and he laughed and went, and left a little comment like, should I feel attacked? And yeah, maybe you should feel attacked. I don't know. The point of the piece is that I don't care, and I can't care. And yeah, that's that. Hopefully the next image is like me and Adon. Hopefully, if our relationship in real life grows well, the next podcast image would probably be us sitting at a table together, hands on top of the table, and you'll see that like Adon's character's hand is like stitched back on, like Frankenstein or something. So yeah, that's it. The podcast is every Wednesday, but I'm going to try to post almost every day, just things that I feel like talking about, but Wednesday will be like the reliable day. If you don't see something Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just know that every Wednesday there will be something. And yeah, it's not for you, but I hope you enjoy it. I hope I learn something. I hope I stay consistent. I hope I grow. And that's that. Bye-bye. Mwah!